Hello everyone and welcome back to TowerGate. It is TowerGate day number 896. September the 13th, 2019. Thank you so much for tuning in. Friday the 13th. Well, I don't know about you, but on Friday the 13th, I'm not really suspicious, but I don't like to push my luck either. So, anyhow, it is Friday the 13th. That's okay. So let's get started. We have a lot to cover today, and so let's start right here with kind of picking up where we left off yesterday with things we were talking about regarding the Michael Flynn case and his attorney, Sidney Powell. And of course, many of you have seen that list of documents, 40 documents that she's requesting. And there's some real gems there, some real gems. Many of those are documents that have been requested by various committees, Judicial Watch, and various other people. And the DOJ, FBI have not been forthright in producing those documents. So we will see if Sidney Powell has any luck with Judge Sullivan at getting the DOJ to turn these things over. The comment that they made to her in court the other day was that they have no plans on turning over any more information or documents. And so that leaves it up to the judge to decide. But at least ways, one thing that's good about this is that Sidney Powell is not just saying, well, give us this exculpatory information or Brady information or whatever, and not naming anything. She actually names the 40 items she wants, which she believes do exist and can be had and should be turned over. So I'm not going to go through the list of 40. You can certainly read those for yourself on several different websites. But there's a couple things I did want to touch on here before we move on, or before we move past this, because this is kind of piggybacked on from yesterday's segment on Sidney Powell and the Michael Flynn case. So we learned today that Sidney Powell is requesting 302s on Mifsud and any other documents on Joseph Mifsud. And it's being alleged now that Joseph Mifsud was at that RT dinner that Michael Flynn attended in Moscow in December 17th of 2015. Remember, this was a celebration for the RT News Network, Russia Today, and so a lot of the people who had been on Russia Today, who had done segments, and I assume Michael Flynn would be one of them, maybe, I don't know, I don't watch RT really, but this is what this was all about. Jill Stein was also seated at the same table with Flynn, I believe, and Putin. But that's what this was all about. Now, we had already heard rumors going back very early on in the TowerGate videos, it's in my timeline somewhere, that Stefan Halper was possibly at that RT dinner. And there's suspicion that maybe he was there to spy on Flynn. But here we have Sidney Powell suggesting that maybe Mr. Mifsud was there as well. And she's suggesting that there are 302s from the FBI and Mifsud, and she's, I think, suggesting that if Mifsud was there at the RT dinner, that the FBI may have interviewed him after this RT dinner, and that there may be some information that changed hands between Mifsud and the FBI following the RT dinner, suggesting that Mifsud was there in some sort of a capacity, acting on behalf of some sort of intelligence agency or FBI or somebody. So this is what one of the things she's pressing for, and I would be very interested to know that, because I think it's been pretty well, I don't know if it's 100% proven, but I think it's pretty well accepted that Halper, the fat man, was there. So if Mifsud is there, that would certainly draw an even tighter connection. There's already a connection between the two, but this would certainly draw an even closer connection between Mifsud and Halper, and would certainly have an effect on the Papadopoulos stuff that went down, and the fact that Halper and Mifsud seemed to be working in tandem on Papadopoulos. So the question is, were they working in tandem on Flynn? And she wants the 302s. Powell believes that the FBI did interview Mifsud at that time, and therefore they should have 302s on Mifsud. Possibly others, and that would be she means other spies, and that would indicate Stefan Halper, because it's already been reported that he supposedly was there. So if these 302s on Mifsud exist, then that means that the FBI knew exactly who Mifsud was, and this would have been about 3 to 4 months before Mifsud met Papagalopoulos. So this would have predated his conversations with Papagalopoulos, which took place in March of 2017. The first meeting between Papagalopoulos and Mifsud was in March of 2017. This RT dinner was December 17th of 2015, a very important date. It's an important date because just about a week and a half later, about a week and a half after the RT dinner, where we have been, let's say, told, or we've read that Halper was there. Now we're hearing that Mifsud was there. And just about a week and a half after that is when we have the Strzok and Page text, which is Peter's been stroking us, asking Lisa Page about the progress that's being made in getting the Oconus lures approved. Oconus lures meaning overseas spies. Peter's been stroking us is asking Lisa Page how the progress is coming at getting approval for the overseas spies, just a week and a half after the Fat Man Halper and allegedly now, it appears, Mifsud were, I guess, observing Michael Flynn at that RT dinner. We also know that it was late in the fall of 2015, even prior to the RT dinner, that the Fat Man, Stefan Halper, told GCHQ about Michael Flynn and his so-called fling, or whatever he suggested that Flynn was having with this British citizen of Russian descent, Svetlana Lakova. So Halper had passed information on to GCHQ about Flynn and Lakova in the late fall of 2015. And here he is in December of 2015, allegedly spotted at this RT dinner. And now Sidney Powell believes that not only was likely Halper there, likely to spy on Flynn, but maybe Mifsud was there as well. And she wants the 302s that would tell her that. Very, very interesting. Boy, oh boy. And obviously, the whole idea that the Operation Crossfire Hurricane started in July 31st of 2016 is now completely blown out of the water. But what this tells us is we keep going farther. It's like, okay, we know there was stuff going on before July 31st, 2016, and relates to spying on the Trump campaign. We know it went back to March with Papagalopoulos. But now we are seeing, just as if you go look at my timeline, you'll see it's all there. We can see now that this actually goes even farther back. It goes back into the late fall of 2015. And look at what all we now know was going on in late fall of 2015. That's when Nellie Orr went to work for Confusion GPS. Christopher Steele first met with Bruce Orr in the same month, in October of 2015, as Nellie Orr was going to work for Confusion GPS. That's about the same time that these private contractors were accessing the NSA database. A lot of things going on in the late part of 2015, October, November, December of 2015, long before July 31st of 2016. The whole idea that that's when this operation started, I think that that's pretty clearly been blown out of the water, but that's the official statement of Comey and others at the FBI, and that's a big fat lie. And I'm sure by now Barr and Durham realize that that is a big fat lie. And that's why they're digging into... You remember when Bill Barr said he'd been trying to get the answers and so far he wasn't getting the answers, or that things did not add up? That's what he's talking about. He's talking about the fact that when he asked questions about the origins of the investigation, The only thing they want to talk about is things that occurred after July 31st, 2016, when he knows good and well there's overwhelming evidence that there were many activities taking place with spies and surveillance and various other things long before July 31st of 2016. Well, as most of you have heard by now, U.S. Attorney Jesse Liu has recommended charging Andy McCabe for making false statements to the FBI. Of course, Mark Meadows tweeted this out earlier yesterday afternoon, very early yesterday afternoon, and that's when I first saw it, and then I looked into it, and now everybody's covering the story. It appears that that's what's going to happen. Now, what's strange about this is that Jesse Liu, she really didn't want to do McCabe because she's good friends with the Lawfare group, and she didn't want to have to take the heat. She wanted to kick it up to Rosen, the deputy AG, who, of course, is Bill Barr's chosen Attorney General, Deputy Attorney General. What's funny about this is that Rosen then is the guy that gets it from Jesse Liu, because she obviously doesn't want to handle it. So she kicks it upstairs to Rosen. And then this is where McCabe's attorneys all come in and try to convince Rosen not to prosecute. Now, of course, we hear yesterday that Rosen had sent a letter to McCabe's attorneys saying, sorry, but we've rejected your request for us not to prosecute, basically. And then he kicked it back to Jesse Liu. He's not going to do the dirty work for her. He knows she doesn't want to do it. He knows it's not going to put her in very good standing with her friends over at Lawfare. But that's exactly what he did. He kicked it back downstairs. He rejected McCabe's lawyer's arguments and then kicked it back down and said, no, you're gonna actually do your job. You're actually going to indict McCabe. So she's not going to be happy about it, but it looks like that's the orders come down from above, from the Deputy Attorney General Rosen. Yeah, we're not going to let this go. And it's just like I said and many other people have said, there's just really no way they can let McCabe off the hook. They can't, really. Not without it looking really, really bad. Because, I mean, he lied 4 times, 3 times under oath, twice to the Inspector General, 3 times to the FBI. And it's what he lied about that's even worse. And there's even more going on behind that they didn't even dig into. They're just dealing with the false statements. And after all these other people have been prosecuted, charged with making false statements, lying to the FBI, what have you, there was just no way they could really cut McCabe any slack here. Otherwise, it would just look really bad. Now, keep in mind that McCabe, when he was first fired, he got really angry, started throwing F-bombs all over the place, calling people mother effers, and basically suggesting that if he gets thrown under the bus, if they try to take him down, or what have you, that he's going to burn the whole effing thing down. That's right, he's going to burn the whole effing thing down. So here's what I think that we have to watch for regarding Andy McCabe. If we don't see him indicted within the next 5 to 10 days, and if he's going to be indicted, I think it's going to be in the next few days, because the attorneys have already been notified, his attorneys have already been notified that that his request not to be indicted has been rejected. So it's already basically public knowledge now that he is going to be charged. But if in the next 5 to 10 days he is not charged, I think we might be able to take something from that, and that's going to be that McCabe is going to tell his lawyers, okay, if I'm going to be charged, then I'm ready to cooperate. I'm ready to become a witness for the state. Now, he's not going to be able to get away with just dropping a few little things here and there. If he decides, because he's into a lot of things that Barr and Durham are investigating right now that are far, far worse than just making some false statements. He was involved in the coup. He was involved in covering up the Rotten Reverend Clinton email scandal. He sat on that Wiener laptop for 30 days, and we've never got to the bottom of what's on there. So, there's a lot of things. For McCabe to get off the hook, he would have to give up some very high-powered people way above him, and he would also have to come clean probably on just about everything. So if he says, if he tells his lawyers to go back and talk to the DOJ and tell them that he would like to discuss making a deal, he is going to have to come completely clean and essentially expose the entire plot. Now, I don't know if he would do that. And I'm not so sure that they would even let him off the hook for that, because they don't really need to be honest with you. They don't really need his testimony. They're so deep in investigating this now. he would have to be able to give them a lot more than what they already have now. And they probably already have right now plenty. They probably know just about everything. They're just cleaning up the details now. So he would have to be able to deliver some really big heads, either Obama, likely the Right Reverend Clinton, Lynch. He would have to deliver somebody at cabinet level and solid. He would have to deliver somebody cabinet level and solid, meaning he would be willing to testify personally or produce evidence. So I would be saying at this point, watch very closely to see if McCabe is in fact indicted. And if he is not indicted in the next 5 to 10 days, I think we can start speculating that he's cooperating, he's cutting a deal, and he's probably going to have to give up everything. I don't think that'll happen. To be honest with you, I say less than 50-50. But it's possible. It is possible. And that's what I'll be watching for. The Rotten Reverend. Well, the Rotten Reverend is now taunting Trump, Attorney General Barr, and of course all of us Trump supporters, and she's taunting us from Italy. Why do you think the Rotten Reverend Clinton decided to go to Italy? Especially following the revelations from the story on the Oceanaro case, as well as the Spygate case that's playing itself out in Italy in the front page of the papers. Remember, in the Oceanaro case, they named the Rotten Reverend Clinton as being one of the principals that was part of the plot. Part of the plot to plant the Hillary emails into Mr. Oceanaro's servers here in the U.S. so that they could tip off the FBI, who could come and find them and then tie Mr. Oceanaro to Trump so that they could drive Trump out of office. Hillary Clinton was mentioned as one of the principals being involved. This is all going down in Italy. And where is the Rotten Reverend Clinton? Italy. So while she's in Italy, she attends an art exhibit in Venice where some artist, I guess, who thinks it's art, I don't know how this is art, but he collects 60 pages of Clinton emails, not the ones she destroyed, obviously public emails. And he has a display, Hillary Clinton's emails. And it's just 60 pages of her emails. So the Rotten Reverend sits down behind this desk and reads through some of these emails. They said for almost like an hour she read through these emails. And then she sent out this tweet. She sent out a tweet saying, "Found my emails at the Venice Biennale, B-I-E-N-A-L-E. Found my emails here in Venice. Someone alert the House GOP. Found my emails here in Venice. Someone alert the House GOP." So she is clearly taunting Republicans, Trump, Barr, whoever else. And she's over in Italy, where the Oceanaro case is making the front page of the papers every day, and Spygate is not far behind. And that's still being untangled over there. And there's a lot of political chaos going on right now in Italy. Very interesting, don't you think? Well, we had Madam Botox, Pelosi, walking out today on a press conference when the lib media continued to press her about the Penguins' impeachment hearings. They continued to press her and press her. She tried to deflect several times, but they just continued to press, and so finally she just gave it up and we just walked away. So Pelosi has clearly lost control of it. She doesn't want to admit that she's lost control of it. She knows it's a horrible idea, but she knows that she's caught between a rock and a hard place here, because they're really counting on the energy in their party, which is all on the far left, the progressives, which want impeachment at all costs. And then she's got the sane, rational other part of the equation, which is that people don't like to see these types of witch hunts unless there's something really there. And so either way she goes, she loses. So she has to try to find a place in the middle where she can land, and that's very tough to do because she's being pushed very hard by the left and the media on the left to get behind impeachment 100%, and she knows she just can't do that. So she's trying to ride the fence, and it's not going over very well. and she's going to find it getting even more and more difficult because the Penguin is not going to back down. Well, we have new documents now that show an effort to craft a non-denial response to reports on Rodenstein wearing a wire to record Trump. So Judicial Watch has just obtained 14 pages of documents that show how the DOJ plotted to craft a response to those allegations. And they eventually decided on, well, Rodenstein was being sarcastic. But we also have the testimonies, which we've read, of James Baker and Lisa Page saying that Rodenstein was not joking. In fact, Baker said he actually went into, brought it up several more times and talked about maybe how they might go about doing that and why he would be a good candidate because they never pat him down before he goes and talks to the president. I think that we're going to find that Rodenstein, and that's why I speak about him the way I do. I know some people out there think he's a white hat, or some people think he's, kind of right in the middle. No. This dude was straight up part of the coup from day one. And once he realized it wasn't going to happen, he tried to shift his position. He's been trying to do that ever since. And I have no love for Rodenstein, and I do hope that he's looking at the inside of a jail cell very soon. Well, Alyssa Milano got together with Ted Cruz, and they had that little powwow about guns and gun control and things and such. I watched about 10 minutes of it, but I really couldn't watch much more. But in that little powwow, we have Alyssa Milano telling Ted Cruz that she has 2 guns. Here's Alyssa Milano, wants gun control, wants to take your guns, but she's got 2. Now, she has clearly got Trump derangement syndrome or Trump anxiety disorder, one of the two or both. She also has admitted that she's got other problems. She has a shrink. She has a full-time shrink. She goes to therapy like weekly. Now, if the whole point is that we really don't want people who have, some mental issues. We really don't want those people having guns, if that's the position that many people are taking. Mentally disturbed people should not have guns, and I can probably go along with that. I just think we have to be very careful about how we go about determining if someone is mentally, unstable. Now, when I look at Alyssa Milano, that looks like a person to me that's seriously mentally unstable. And it does worry me that she's got a couple of guns. That's why I'm damn sure glad I got a couple too. If I see Alyssa Milano coming, and I'm walking through Lowe's, and I got my MAGA hat on, and I see Alyssa Milano coming, I'm gonna be quick on the draw. I'm gonna have my hand on the weapon, just watching to see what she does. That's right. Be very careful if you see Alyssa Milano coming. She might be armed. She's definitely dangerous. She's definitely not right in the head. And she's armed. She could go off at any time. Look out if you ever see her at a Trump rally. Shake her down. Well, the Democrat debates are going on right now. I will not be watching them because I don't need to watch them. I'll watch the highlight reel tomorrow. I pretty much know what they're all talking about. The funniest thing I've heard one of them say in the last couple of days was when the skateboarder Bobby O came out and during a little speech that he was giving to some crazy people, he said that he would force, if he were president, he would force rich people to allow lower income people to live near them. Huh? How do you force rich people to allow lower income people to live near them? Now, we have areas all around where I live that are kind of like lower class, lower middle, upper middle, and rich. In fact, about 3 miles from where I'm at right now, we have an entire section, a town. It's nothing but homes that are over $1 million. There's not a home in that neighborhood under $1 million. It's only like 3 miles from here. And all the homes in the area like where I live are all in the 100 to 150 range. And that's like sort of middle class. Then about 2 or 3 miles on the other side of the tracks, we have like the lower income, and that's like Section 8 housing and shit like that. So we have all that within this community here where I live. Within 7-8 miles, you can hit all them areas. But I think what Beto's talking about is actually having these people in the same, on the same street, in the same actual subdivisions. Now, how's that work? What, a developer is going to build a couple, $200,000 or $300,000, $500,000 houses, and he's going to build like a 1,000-foot or 1,500-foot square ranch on a slab or a prefab or a modular or something next to these high value properties and stuff. I mean, it's just crazy. This stuff doesn't make sense. I mean, you got to wonder where this guy is coming from. I mean, he's nuts. I can't believe this guy is still considered somewhat of a viable candidate. And the people who listen to this guy, you just got to look at these people and go, what's wrong with you? If someone like a Bobby O came up to me and started dropping this kind of crap, I would look at him and say, dude, you are nuts, man. You are nuts. Do you realize how crazy that is? I mean, I mean, it's just something on the lens. Probably saliva. Yeah, I mean, this guy's just nuts. I mean, there's no way to make this work. What? He's going to sign an executive order making real estate developers, I mean, they just would stop develop. I mean, no one would buy the properties. No guy is going to drop $500,000 on a nice property where he wants to be in this nice neighborhood with good schools and nice big house and all that stuff. If he's going to have a house 2 or 3 doors down that's going to be like lower middle class, it's going to be like a $70,000 house or something. I mean, it drives your property values down. Plus, think how bad that would be for the kids the kids who say on this block you have 10 rich people and 2 or 3 poor people. I mean, the kids who are in the houses, you know, where the poorer people are going to have to like be on the same block with the kids that live in $500,000 homes. I mean, it's going to be hard for them it's going to be embarrassing for them in a lot of ways. I think it'll be hard for them to adjust to that, so there's just a lot of problems with this, okay? And I just can't believe Bobby O would say something so stupid. And the fact, I guess what bothers me most is that there are actually groups of people, dozens and dozens of people around him listening to this and going, yeah, oh, that's a great idea. Man, our problem in this country is we have too many stupid people. And at the rally tonight, before the rally, Trump flew a banner, an airplane pulling a gigantic banner which says, and remember this debate is in Houston, Texas, and the banner says, "Socialism will kill Houston's economy. Vote Trump 2020. So while all those Democrats are waiting in line to get in to watch the debate, there comes Trump's plane pulling the big banner, "Socialism will kill Houston's economy. Vote Trump 2020. That's fantastic. And you had another private group, it wasn't even Trump, but someone else had another banner with a plane flying around saying, "Socialism sucks." Okay, well, we now know that Trump derangement syndrome and insanity is now crept into the National Cancer Society, because they are now suggesting that men should get cervical screening. Cervical screening for men. Now, I don't think men have a cervix, okay? I've never been told I have a cervix. I've never heard any of my doctor ever mention anything about having a cervix. I don't even know what the hell a cervix is. I just don't think I have one. I'm pretty sure I don't have a cervix. So why is the Cancer Society wanting men, and I am a man, wanting men to get cervical screening? Why is that? Someone in the comment section, Douglas might be able to handle this one. This is a good one for Douglas. This is one that will drive Douglas crazy. He'll be he'll be going crazy trying to respond to this one. Yeah, Douglas, why don't you explain to me why men should get a cervical screening? Thank you very much. We'll all be eagerly awaiting Douglas's comment on why men should get cervical screening. Gordon might be awfully good on that one too. And of course, Patty Willing. I'm sure Patty will have a solid answer for us to that question. I'm looking forward to that. Fred Fleitz's his name is once again being floated to replace John Bolton. I did a video, it's been a few weeks back, where I talked about the fact that something that's really unusual or kind of strange, I think, is the fact that when Trump became president, he split the neocons. You have all these people who are former neocons all of a sudden now love Trump, and you never hear them running the neocon talking points. They seem to be totally pro-Trump. But you still have another group of the neocons, which are, still hardcore neocons and hate Trump. So it's kind of funny. Trump split the neocons, and Fred Fleitz was always in that group of neocons. All the ones we talk about, he was in that group. But either he's running a game on us, trying to pretend that he's actually a pro-Trump guy, or he's legit and he really is a pro-Trump guy because he's out there defending all the time, and he's not out there advancing the neocon foreign policy the way he had been for the past 20 years. So, interesting. I'd like to see some other names on that list before I decide that Fred Fleitz is the guy. Trump told the press today that he has about 15 names. So, I hope he does a much better job picking a new Secretary of Defense than he did with Bolton. Fleitz would be, I would assume, a great improvement. But we have to wait and see. But I think I'd like to see him do something really good with that appointment, and I think I hope he will. The only problem is they got to be confirmed by the Senate, and that's the problem. Well, it looks like Crazy Joe sent out a tweet just before the debate, and that's kind of crazy. He sends out this tweet, and his tweet is that, quote, "Barack Obama was a great president. We don't say that enough." Really? He was a great president? Actually, he's the first. He may be one of the worst presidents. In fact, probably the worst president in history when the Spygate investigation is complete, because we're going to learn that for the first time in history, we did not have a peaceful transition of power in this country, thanks to Barack Hussein Obama. He will go down in history as one of the worst presidents we ever had. His economy was never that good. His foreign policy sucked. And now we find out that he was behind the coup. One of the key players in the coup ended the peaceful transition of power for the first time in this country. He will go down in history as one of the worst, if not the worst president ever. And I hope his ass goes to jail. We don't generally throw former presidents in jail, but I certainly would love to see Trump have to pardon him. Would love to see Trump have to pardon Obama. Question is, what we really need to know about Barack Obama is what did he know and when did he know it? According to Loose Lisa Page, the White House wants to know everything we're doing. In one text, in another text, the White House is running the show. And then he's running a campaign ad that people are scratching their heads about. He's running a campaign ad in New Hampshire where he's now, in the local polling in New Hampshire, he's now fallen to third place. He's running an ad which basically looks like an Obama campaign ad. It looks like Obama's running for president because it's nothing but it's about Obama until you get to the very end of the ad. And then you see Biden's picture, and it says, "So vote for Biden, vote Biden, so we can keep it going." In other words, his entire campaign is based on, we want 8 more years of Obama, vote for Biden, and he'll continue the 8 years of Obama. He doesn't really have anything of his own to sell or to push or to to talk about. The only thing he'd talk about is, hey, I was Barack Obama's vice president. If you like Barack, vote for me, and I'll just kind of continue what Obama did. Well, he better go back and look at Obama's track record. Obama didn't do nearly as damn well and wasn't nearly as damn popular as as Biden thinks he was. It wasn't all that. And Democrats even now, most progressives don't like Obama now. And finally, we have this story breaking actually right about now. Sarah Carter reporting that Michael Flynn took a polygraph back in 2016 and he passed. He took a polygraph in 2016 and he passed. And apparently this is one of the things that Sidney Powell wants. She wants the results of that polygraph that Michael Flynn took in 2016 where he passed. Yes, indeed. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'll be back tomorrow with more TowerGate. You guys have a good night. See ya. Bye.